Okay, here we go.
Well,
So,
you said be on video, but now you're saying no naughty business.
no naughty business. You're being recorded, David.
Okay,
So,
so I should take my stuff off video. Okay.
there you go. So for those of you that don't know, I've been in real estate. I'm 45 now, so I've been in real estate for 25 years, and I literally grew up in the business with a real estate family. And my curse was I looked like I was 12 when I got started. I really did. And my mom was a really top agent in the market, and I didn't want to work for her. So I had to figure out, like, what the heck am I going to do to be successful in real estate? You know, what am I going to do? And I really wasn't fond of the idea of cold calling. I was so young and naive. I really didn't know about the whole door knocking thing. I didn't think that was really my jam. And so I found that open houses were my thing because people came to me and I was like hosting an event and connecting with people. And I always found that if I could get in front of people, it was a really easy conversation for me to have. So if that's your style, open houses can be your thing. And I've been teaching open houses on steroids for the last couple of years, showing how an agent, if they chose to, could host just a few open houses every week and make a six-figure income. And so I'm going to pivot a little today and talk about like the open house of the future, because COVID really shook things up. And if you were someone like me that really loved networking and being with people and getting in front of people and using open houses as a tactic and strategy to get in front of people, you may have been a little disrupted with the COVID changes. So I want to ensure you that today we're going to talk about the past, but also what you need to do in the future. And the more questions you have, the better. And I'm going to share a ton of resources today, and I'll be posting those on the side. So when I post, feel free to download so you can get those materials. And I will also record and send this out as a follow-up email. So if you miss anything or have to jump off, don't feel like you're missing out. Okay, so just to kind of get a feel, in the chat, I'd love you guys to all chat and let me know if you've hosted an open house post-COVID. And if you have, was it physical? Like, were you physically there and you interacted with people? Was it digital? Was it both? Was it Facebook Live? What have you guys done? Just so I can kind of get a feel for what you guys have and haven't done. I'm gonna shut this door real quick. Okay. Okay, so you've done Scott's done a couple with people. Phil, you've done them physically. And Rook, you haven't done one yet. You just joined us, so welcome. Okay, so I just want to, first of all, start with some really, really good news. Who wants good news? Raise your hand. Who wants some good news about the market? Yes. With all that's been going on, I want to start with good news. So here's my first good news. So Mike Del Prete, now you should be able to see my screen with Mike Del Prete and the pending sales for 2020. And this is metro markets that he's stocking. Now, Mike Del Prete is someone that you guys should all follow. So if you search his name, you'll see him on YouTube, you'll see his website. He's a really legit guy in terms of data and where things are going. And he's not really tied to any organization. So he's very neutral. And he shared this morning on Inman. Inman has a seminar they do every year. It's a big deal. And he shared the impact of COVID on transactions. And it was interesting because he shared how some markets really aren't bouncing back, like New York City. New York City's listing inventory is down 76%. Dang, right? The national average for the US is down 40%. So he talked about Tampa. Tampa, we're this little yellow line here. We're bouncing back fast. In fact, Houston, Chicago, Phoenix, Denver, Tampa, Seattle, and Austin are the big bounce back markets. So what that means, and so this is really worth talking about, because the sad truth is the media and the news are going to be talking about New York City. You know, that's going to be what bleeds leads, you know, with news. They're going to be talking about how New York City's down 76% and the market's tanking and prices are going to drive down. And that's the message he said is not true. He shared that each market is different. And for the markets that were more restrictive to the realtors, meaning they actually shut it totally down where you couldn't legally sell homes, they were hurt the most. So that's where you see New York City and, you know, Detroit. For markets like ours, where, yeah, absolutely did it slow down, right? Yet we didn't get like totally shut down. We're having a real big return to business. So in the good news department, we are one of those markets that are having a great rebound. So I want to give you a homework item. Homework item number 1 is to scream that from the rooftops. That's really good news for our local market. You want to share that with everybody that you know. And so what I did is I stole a couple screenshots as I was doing this webinar with Inman. So I'm just going to post a few things while we're going, you guys, and you'll want to grab these because once I post, once I end the thing, the Zoom we're doing, all this goes away. So I don't have like a copy of it. So as I post, I'm sorry, I'm going a little slow here because I can't remember where I saved it. It's pretty cool that we're in the good area of the rebound. And so let me see where the heck I put these. I just did this. So of course it's not showing up. Okay, let me get back to that. If I need to, I'll just email it to all of you. Now, if you're not in the Keller Williams, Clearwater, Tampa, or Bel Air office and you're a guest of ours, just throw your email on the site so I make sure I get it to you as well. So the good news is we're in a market that's bouncing back. Great news is open houses are hot. So some of you have maybe tried and had kind of attendance, but what we're finding is that the people actually coming out are really serious. And I see, Phil, you're shaking your head, and I know a couple other people shared some wins. Several agents actually had multiple offers come in at their open houses on their properties. So for those of you that might be kind of caught in that COVID fog, start waking up because things are happening, and you'll see, you saw that rebound for our market is very quick. Act accordingly. You want to keep pace on that. Now, to circle back to open houses are, the goal for an open house is to lead generate. It's not for you to sell the house. It's like 4% of open houses sell. So your job when you're hosting an open house is to get exposure for the listing and to interact and meet future buyers and sellers, or at least make friends with people that you could add to your database and market to until they have a need. So that is fundamentally your goal. That's it. You know, and in a good open house, you'll have enough attendance where you pick up 1 or 2 people that are interested in real estate in whatever capacity. They may be 4 months out or 6 months out or 2 days out. You never know. And yet your goal is to kind of collect those people. So in the past, when we did a physical open house, and I know this is kind of hard to see because of my lighting, but when we did a physical open house, in order to get people to show up, we had to do some things. So either unmute yourself or type in the chat for those of you that have ever done an open house. What are some ways that you have promoted your open house to get attendance? What are some of the things that you've done? So let me hear from you guys that have done it. Okay, so some of you have, I'm getting some direct text. Some of you have posted it on Facebook that you were hosting an open house. Some of you have put signs out. Yes, all good answers. Some of you have done nothing except put a sign in the yard. That's true, that sometimes happens. So here are some of the bigger things. If I'm gonna host an open house and say I'm gonna do it on Sunday, I would take that week before the open house to promote the open house. And some of the things I would do in the past that I had to do in order to get anyone to show up was I would sometimes door knock and knock the neighbors around the house and let them know that the open house was happening. I might do that a couple days in advance or when there's decent weather and it's not like a stormy day like today, because you don't want to be out there with lightning bolts and all that, or 100-degree weather. So I might even just do a quick door knock right before the open house for like 10 doors right around the neighbor, or right around the house, just to see if I can get some traffic. So door knocking is a good one. And it still works. However, door knocking's not so cool with COVID, is it? If you knock on someone's door, do they really want you there? No. So you know what? We're not going to do that probably right now, are we? Probably not. Call and invite. That's a big one. So one of the things that you can still do is call and invite. So you can still call. Now, who would you call? Well, you can pull the tax records from MLS, and about 60% of the phone numbers will show up. It's not a perfect thing, but you can pull that neighborhood for all the open house, for the homes around the open house, and call and invite them to the open house. Now that call might sound like, hello, this is Jessica Fox with Keller Williams Realty. I wanted to personally invite you to the open house at 123 Main Street, just down the road from you. The owners, Joe and Mary, asked that I let everyone in the neighborhood know that their home is for sale in case they know, you know, of someone that may have interest in seeing it or moving in. Is there anyone that comes to mind? And would you like to stop by? So it's just a real informal, you know, come on over. And why that's important, you guys, is they are curious. You know, they're curious like what the house looks like. They want to see what the bathroom remodel looks like. So if the seller has ever done anything, you could say, you should come and check out what they did to the lanai, or you should come and check out and see the new kitchen they put in, because they want to come, but they don't want to look like a nosy neighbor. So if you invite them, they're more apt to show, and they're great people to have in your database because those are future sellers. So you really, really want these folks to come, but if you don't invite them properly, they'll come, but they'll sign in as like John Doe because they won't want to look like a nosy neighbor. So make sure you invite them, because you don't want fake information anyway, because you know, they don't want to appear to be that nosy neighbor, and you want them to come over and join you. So a real nice invite, no pressure, no sales, no script, but just a real nice invite, like the owners would love your feedback as a fellow neighbor on our price and what you think. So if you can, stop by. It'd be great if you could. And if you know, if you can't and you want to come through the house at a different time, I'd be more than happy to show you. So know that this gets you really, really far. Now, with not being able to door knock, that's something that's going to become more important for you to do so that you get good traffic. Signage seems to be the most critical thing right now. With the people that in the last 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks since we've been able to do opens, but in the last few, say, week or so, the agents that have had a lot of wins with really good traffic and actually even buyer and seller leads coming from their open houses were like ridiculous with signage. They put so many signs out, and it drew a lot of traffic in, and most of the agents said that they asked how they heard about the open house, and nearly everyone said, we saw your signs. So I think we've got enough people that are like just so bored with life right now that they're like, I'll go to an open house. And yet what I want to say about signage is more than one thing. It's one thing to have like directional signs saying, hey, open house this way. It's another for them to go approach your open house and feel comfortable with what to expect and that it's a safe environment. And so the Sold Sisters in our office, they actually had a sign made, and it had step-by-step, 1, 2, 3, 4, what to expect from the open house, like the steps. And it said, KW cares, we're following the CDC guidelines to ensure your safety, something like that. And it said, step 1, register. And so they had them sign the disclosure, the COVID disclosure, and register formally in. And they let the people go in batches of, you know, 2 people at a time, like the couple, husband and wife couple, or the 2 people that were together, or a single person. And they kept space in between everyone. And because it was a vacant listing, they were able just to let the people wander around and through before the next group went through. Now, Scott, if you're able to unmute yourself, I know you did a co-open house. I would do the co-open house, like with a buddy. And the reason why is if it's vacant, you can walk them through and build rapport while the other person's building rapport with who's waiting next. Kind of like have that bouncer at the door, making sure no one sneaks in before the other group is ready to leave. The other way, because it just, you've had all that time to chat with someone, you know, you're chit-chatting, you're picking up potential great conversations. But the other is if it's a not vacant property, say it's a listing that is furnished, and your seller's like, I want you to do an open house. You say, okay, I'll do an open house. You kind of need the buddy system to give them a tour to make sure that no one's like going through their drawers, you know, and going through the medicine cabinet. So I think it's kind of a safety protocol. If Scott, if you want to add anything to that on your experience, I mean, you also are benefiting as a newer agent, getting some training on it too, like hearing another agent that's experienced doing it. So consider that. I think the buddy system works, and let's just be honest, we're all learning a new thing. So it's not bad to do it with someone else. And so if any of you want to shadow and help someone with an open house, I'm certain you can get another agent to say yes, especially if you help them put out signs and all that, because that's the hard part of doing these open houses. That's the grunt work, right, Phil? That's where you're sweating and just making it happen.
It is. Both Bob and Scott shadowed me this weekend. They were my number twos, and yep, they put out signs.
Yep. Hey, we all have to do the work. So I'm going to say signage is more than just a sign, but it's kind of setting expectations of like, what's the process going to look like? Because this is new to them. And it's letting them feel safe. So a couple things I want to share. Get my screen sharing going. First, I got Mike Del Preti's great information. I'm just going to send this in the chat link. So give me one sec here. You can go to this website later. I'm having a heck of a time getting my chat open. Today's one of those days, you guys. Just gonna tell you. Well, I'll go back. I'll send this all to you in an email. Big thing is this is going to become your new norm. I'm just telling you, this isn't going away in 2 weeks. This is like the new norm, and that's one thing I wanted to share with you. But signage kind of sets the expectation. So this is an example of a sign that an agent had. Open house guidelines, don't touch, use sanitizers, please honor social distancing. Putting those signs up help so people know what to do, because some people just aren't following any rules. And yet you're held accountable to the rules from Keller as well as Florida Realtors, and they've given you guys the guidelines. I'll repost all of this in one email so you have all of it handy, but you need to follow the guidelines. Now, I'm going to bring this up for a reason. A couple of you shared, I can't remember who shared this on the Morning Mojo, but someone shared that they went to an open house and they didn't follow any rules. Like there's people wandering around all over, people passing each other, like right next to each other on the stairwell. And I think it was Barb from our office, and she said she actually felt uncomfortable. Now, I want to remind you, you guys are held to the responsibility of honoring the CDC guidelines, regardless if you feel like you need to wear a mask or not, you need to do it. And you need to be a role model of it. So if you have signage and what to expect, first of all, someone's going to feel more comfortable showing up. And second of all, they'll know what to do because they're not sure what they're supposed to do. So you've got to lead that. And so I would encourage you to have signage all around, as well as in the front lawn of the listing, so they know, okay, we're following the CDC guidelines. So this is going to mean you're going to need to have masks, hand sanitizer, all that available for anyone that doesn't have one. Now, beyond that, besides the signage, wherever you market your open house, so say you put a post on Facebook, or you do an ad on Facebook, or you make a Facebook event, or you shoot an email and invite everyone in your database, or anyone that's a lead, whatever. Make sure you identify that you are following the CDC guidelines, so they first feel comfortable coming, and second of all, so they know what to expect. That's really going to be important for you. So signage is becoming a bigger deal because it's not just directionals trying to get traffic. It's really, how is this going to go? And I thought it was cute because the Sold Sisters number 4, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, register, 2, follow, CDC, social distancing. Number 4 was put in an offer. And the funny thing is they got, I think it was 3 offers, and they sold that property that day. So it was kind of cute, kind of set the tone. And again, you have the availability to do that. And I'm going to be giving you a couple suggestions of what you could post around the property so that that's clear. Does that make sense to everybody? Anyone have any questions on any of that? Okay. Now we used to also post it on Facebook, like stop by my open house on Sunday. Some of us would even do Facebook ads. They weren't like the Facebook ads we're doing today. And for those of us that were really into Facebook, we'd even do Facebook events. So I'd say all those things are great. I would say all of these things go over here now. And I would even go a step further and say Facebook Live. Now, has anyone done Facebook Live yet that's on? I'm stressed out by it personally because I don't want to not look good online. So a couple tips. And I'm going to tell you that Papazan's, Jay Papazan is the co-author of the MREA. He has an amazing team and his wife runs it. One of the gifts I'm going to give you today is, one second, drum roll. Okay, you should see it now. This says Papazan Property Group at the top. Can I get a thumbs up? Can you guys see that? Am I showing this properly? You should see it now. Good. Okay, this is their step-by-step on everything they do to have the most tricked out virtual, digital, and physical open house, including their ads, their tags, their little thises and that's that they're doing. So I'm going to give this to all of you so you have it. Now I'm going to be truthful. There's so much here. Don't feel like you have to do all of this. Just do them. You know, if you don't feel comfortable doing Facebook Live yet, then don't. But the truth is, we even have this article that gives you all the little tips and tricks on Facebook Live. So I'm going to send all of this to all of you. And again, if you're not one of the U Baldini agents, not a problem. Just make sure you have your email on the site so I get it to you, because these are all great things to do. And yet I don't want anyone not doing these because they don't know how to do all of these things. And the truth is, it's really about interacting with people and connecting with people and sharing value with people. So you're not going to get as many people to show, but the people that show are going to be way better people than the looky-loos and some of the people we used to get in the past. They're legit and they want to be out and they want to talk to people. So they're also people that kind of hang out. So that was the other thing that I got a lot of feedback on from the agents that in the last week or so that have been doing more than one open house, doing multiple open houses, is that they had more genuine conversations with people and connected with people at such a higher level than they ever have in the past. People are wanting to communicate with people. They want other people than their families, right? They want to see other humans, and they just really appreciate the resources and value that you can get. So I would encourage you to think about this as like one of the best things you could be doing for your business right now. And I don't say that lightly. I say that with all sincerity because this is what I lived on. Now, Phil, you're awesome because you grabbed the picture. I want to show this. Phil just went to their Facebook page. This is the Sold Sisters, and here's their cute sign. Now, if you want a sign like this made, it's not much money, and they posted on Facebook like a week ago who made that for them. So you could just go on our Facebook page and say, hey, who made your sign? That's the Stacy Ward and Kristen, the Sold Sisters. So that's cute. It just kind of set expectations and put people at ease. And I love that. Step 4, submit an offer on this fabulous property. What made me think of that sign when we just talking about signage for a second is when I was driving to the office a couple weeks ago to sign checks, I drove by one of the ERs and they were, you know, I'm sure you heard on the news that the emergency rooms and the hospitals are actually quiet because no one's going in because they're afraid of COVID and they don't want to get plagued, you know, and they're like, stay away from that place. When I drove by the emergency room that's on Alderman and 19, the word instead of open said safe. They were advertising like, this is a safe place to come. You can come here. If you're injured, come, you know. And I realized that if we don't share that we're following these guidelines, anyone that's a little bit hesitant isn't going to show. So just make sure if you're doing anything with this Facebook, the advertisement, the post, the event, Facebook Live, make sure you're addressing that. Now, I wouldn't say safe because we don't know. You know, seriously, we don't know all the ways COVID could pass. I think you just say that you're following all the CDC guidelines and then you don't have any liability. So I wouldn't declare it safe because who's to say that's safe? We're doing the best we can. Right? We think we're following the safety guidelines, but I would just kind of address that. And then the other thing we used to do is that we made sure that whoever had the open house, whoever listed the open house, went into the MLS to make that change that there was going to be an open house, which obviously translated to Zillow and Realtor.com. A little banner ad shows up or something underneath the listing saying open Sunday or open Saturday or open whatever. So still do that. I mean, you still want to do that because those websites have a lot of traffic. So you still want to make that change in the MLS and make sure that the agent that has that listing made that change for you. So in terms of getting traffic, it's kind of the same. The only thing that's really gotten taken out of the picture is door knocking. So remember, your goal is to get traffic so you can lead generate. But if you don't do any of these things, the chance of you getting traffic is kind of wimpy. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't, because there's a lot of times life gets busy and you didn't get to do all the things you intended to make sure that you have a great open house. Don't not do it because you can't do all of these things, but just know if you do these things, you're going to have a much greater attendance. Any questions on that? Okay, so here's the truth. You want to start doing open houses because, again, things are ticking up quickly. However, I would, if I was going to bother, I'd do them both ways, physical and digital. And if you don't feel comfortable doing them physical, just do them digital. There's no problem with that. But you're not going to get that belly-to-belly time to connect with consumers if you just do them digital. So at a bare minimum, if you're going to bother doing them physical, you might as well also do them digitally. So when I say digital or virtual, because it's kind of the jargon going around, I'm going to go back to my screen share. There's a couple different ways of looking at this. You know, Facebook Live, all the different methods that you could do this. So I'm giving you guys all these like basic articles that go through all the different ways people are doing open houses and having success. And what I would challenge you to do, looks like I paused my screen share. Give me 1 second here. What I would challenge you to do is figure out what you're comfortable doing and go deep on that. So if you're really good at doing Facebook Live, or you feel more comfortable with someone else recording you because you don't do really well with your arm as your selfie stick, bring a friend with you. And what I would do for every property that I'm going to hold open, at a bare minimum, I'm going to walk around the property and share 2 or 3 selling points for that property so that I could use it in my Facebook ad, or I could just post that up on Facebook and say, come and see me. And if you can't see me, call me and I'll give you a private showing off my phone. You know, there's a lot of variations when we say physical or digital. Some people are really going all in on digital and they're doing a watch party on Facebook. I don't know if you really need to do all of that, because the truth is it's really just about getting exposure and connecting with people. So just know every one of these articles I give you different variations of how do I do this digitally or physically. I'm going to tell you, do it however you're most comfortable with your own technology skills. If you don't know how to do Facebook Live, don't worry about it. You can just walk the property with your phone. And yet, if you want to learn how to do Facebook Live, I'm about to give you the directions on how to do that. Any questions on that so far? Wendy Papazan really kind of blew it off the roof. She's got literally everything possible that you could ever do to make it awesome, down to screen shares for you guys so that you really don't have any reason not to feel comfortable doing this. And yet, if I show you this, I don't want you not to do this because that's like the most perfect way in the universe to do one. Yeah, great. But what if you just hosted one and threw a sign up and got a couple people to pop by? So I'm okay with however you do it. I just want to make sure that you know that. And yet do whatever you're comfortable with. Now, what I'm seeing agents do that I think is really smart is that any property, like we'll use this open house, you're going to want to know what the property looks like. And if it's vacant, it's really easy for you to go pop by, right? And so if you do that and you just go preview the property before you host it, you're also going to get a feel for what you're contending with. So let's just talk about this for a second. Let's just say all of you are going to come to my open house, and I have an open house in a little tiny condo. You've got to think like, how could I handle a crowd of like 10 people? Because you can't let everybody in at once. And so you want to know what you're getting yourself into with this open house. You want to look at it and say, okay, where could I have a staging area where maybe people sign in? Where could I have like a waiting area for, you're in next, but you got to wait till this group gets out. How am I going to do that? You've got to almost stage how you're going to host the open house. So when you go look at the property and kind of get a game plan, And I'll share, there's plenty of different game plans that, you can talk about, and I will in a sec. Go and walk the property and talk about some of the selling features, and keep that video less than a minute long. And now you have that video for if you want to do a Facebook ad, or if you just want to throw it out on Facebook, and you could call that your digital open house. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be Facebook Live, it doesn't have to be a watch party. I mean, that's like the extreme. It could be as simple as you just sharing a video of you walking through a property that you're hosting open later in the week. That's virtual digital. That's kind of the lame-o version, but it's worked perfectly fine. Now, you do need a plan, though, and strategy for how you're going to man the open house. And so Tisa shared this last week. She had an open house she did that was a first floor condo with absolutely no space except a little bit of a lanai. So she did balloons like all over the side of it because it was right off the causeway. And people just walked right in. And she stood up on the balcony and invited people in and kind of ran the show from up there, because she had explained to people, like, here's the masks. I already opened up all the doors, turned on the lights. You don't have to touch anything. Please don't touch anything. If you do want to touch things, put on the gloves. So she was able to man her open house from the balcony. So we'll call that the Juliet style. And then the Soul Sisters shared that they had a pretty good size house that had a kick butt backyard. And so they started some people in the back and some people in the front, just so they could manage, the flow of the property. So they really needed both of them there. Have any of you run into anything that you've running into any trouble or questions or concerns? I think you just have to get a plan before you show up. Don't just show up and be like, oh boy, we have nowhere to go. Because let's just be honest. If you look at the weather for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be hot and steamy, right? Hot and steamy. So Tisa put up a little pop-up tent, like if you're tailgating. And she put that in the front yard, and she had so many more people come by because they were just curious, like, what is going on? And, she threw a couple balloons up. She had some water there. She had their sign-in sheet, the COVID release form, basically. And she was able to chit-chat with them while she sent people through. But the truth is, if it's storming out or it's Satan hot like it's been, that's not going to fly. So what would you do in that situation? Come up with a strategy. Maybe it's opening up the garage door and going through a different way in the house, but put a plan together so that you can manage a crew. And again, having backup is not a bad idea. And we've got plenty of agents that would love to shadow a more experienced agent that would probably be more than happy to help you out. So if you need help with that, put it on our Facebook page. Let Phil, Jackie know with the PC coaching. Let Kevin and I know, Damari. We will help you find a buddy for your open house. So, moral of the story is, if you're bothered to do the physical, do both. Even if it's just you quickly recording a quick video and calling it your digital. Questions on that? What kind of challenges do you guys think you're going to run into? What would stop you guys from doing this? Anything? Anyone having any limiting beliefs that this is worth doing? Anyone have any challenges? Anyone see a big problem? I'm just curious what your perspective is. Phil?
The part that I'm still working on is the capturing information. Previously, I've leaned heavily on the sign-in sheet, and now I'm having to convert that to more of a conversation-based approach. So, working on a new skill.
You're like the ultimate segue. Well, here's the thing is, I'm going to give you a list of value items. And we're going to talk about that, because when you give value, people give their contact info. So the worst thing you can do at an open house is be like the Gestapo, like, if you don't sign in, you can't come in, because the truth is people are just going to put generic fake information anyway. You have to win the trust and make the connection, and then you will get the contact info. So best practices, oh, sorry, my phone, let me shut this off. Sorry about that. Best practices is you've got to give value first, and you've got to connect first. So I'm going to just put connect first. So one of the blessings in this is that we have more time to talk, because only someone can't just pass someone else and sneak through. It's more of a line, it's like wait your turn. And so while you have them, you have the opportunity to ask great questions and give value. So the first thing you want to do is connect and ask questions about them. And so if I was going to role play this, I'd be like, thanks for coming by. My name's Jessica, yours is. And when you say your name and you put your hand out, people tell you their name. My name's Phil. Great, Phil. Thanks for coming by. Let me ask you, I put lots of signs out. I did lots of ads. How did you find my open house? What worked? And you ask a question and they say, I saw all the signs, or I saw the balloons, or the neighbor told me about it. You know, you're going to find out what worked for you. Usually they're saying the signs. And say, you know, I meet most of the people I actually work with, I meet at open houses. And it's a great way to connect with people that have interest. Let me ask you, are you out looking at homes today to buy, or are you just finding something to do? What are you up to? And when you ask a question like that, you can kind of compartmentalize, like, okay, they're just a neighbor, but great, maybe a future neighbor that might sell. If we, you know, hit it off, I could become their realtor. Or they could be like, we need to buy a house. And you'll be able to then pivot with them to what would make sense. So you want to ask great questions. And certain types of questions get yes or no, and some are open-ended questions. So you want to think about, like, what question would you ask? So I love asking, are you one of the great neighbors that I invited, or are you out looking for a home today? And you'll get one of three responses, like, oh, I am a neighbor, or I am looking for a house, or no, I just was curious. And you know what? All three are okay, but if you can help compartmentalize who they are, it's like a better conversation moving forward. So you want to start with a question to figure out, who are they? Because who are they is going to identify what would be valuable to give them. So let's just call them A, B, and C. A, B, C. This is a neighbor or someone that lives around in the area that was just curious. We'll just call him a curious neighbor. Here's a buyer. And this is like, I don't want a house, but I just wanted to come on by, right? Because they kind of drop in one of the three buckets. So I'm going to just use one value tool that you have, and I'm going to share how you would share it with all three. So we're going to talk about Keller Mortgage for a second. Keller Mortgage, now I'm just going to screen share 1 second here to the website, kellermortgage.com. Now you each have one. You each have kellermortgage.com, and it's going to show you how much our office has already saved clients this year. So in our office alone, using Keller Mortgage, and I'll explain it a little bit more detail for you guys so you feel comfortable talking about it. Our office this year with Keller Mortgage have saved the consumer $621,000 in closing costs just from this little office alone. Isn't that amazing? And if you go to just Keller Mortgage, it's going to show what we've done nationally. So this is kellermortgage.com. The consumer can call this number to get started, or you can share with them. But from a company standpoint, we've saved the consumer $129 million in closing costs this year. Isn't that amazing? Now I've used this mortgage, and I got to tell you, I feel like I should just scream from the rooftops what a great experience it was. And they beat the rates of anyone I talked to. Plus we saved almost $9 grand on our house that we bought in September. I mean, it was amazing. They were ready to close 10 days early. That just doesn't happen. They have a 98% close on time rate because as soon as the deal's under contract, they order the appraisal right away. That is their biggest difference. That they do that, and then if the deal doesn't come together for whatever reason, Gary Keller eats the cost of the appraisal. So those are some of the just basic defining factors. Plus they have a rate tool that basically if Phil's my buyer and he goes to Keller Mortgage and he says he's also shopping Wells Fargo, Gary Keller will make sure he beats their rate. So he's very much in it to win it. You just go into KW Agent Portal here, and this will be your part. So this is for our office. We've saved $621,000 in closing costs this year. Isn't that cool? Plus all the marketing you need is right here. So literally, if you go into the marketing tab, there's flyers already pre-made, including for your open house. This is the one I like best, number 2. And if you bring it up, I gotta move you guys. Get you in the way here. If you bring it up, one sec here. It's a I'm sorry, my PowerPoint file. I'm just gonna hide you guys there. It's a PowerPoint, so it just tells you even how to update it with your picture right here. And so I would have, you can get these at like Staples for like $2. I'd have little things out with my business cards right here, but I'd be talking about it. So I'm going to pretend, I can see Phil, so I'm picking on you, Phil. I'm going to pretend Phil's a curious neighbor. Okay. So I'm going to role play this with you if you don't mind, Phil. So hey, my name's Jessica. You are?
I'm Phil.
Hey, Phil. So let me ask you, are you one of the great neighbors I invited, or are you out looking for a home today?
Yep. I'm one of the nosy neighbors.
Awesome. Well, hey, while I have you, I have so many people asking me about this neighborhood. What do you love about living here?
I like that we're close to the trail.
Cool. Now, if he's really negative, I'm gonna be like, so where do you want to live? Right? Like, I hate this. The neighbors are loud, whatever. So if he's grumpy, I'm gonna be like, let's find you another neighborhood. If he's pleasant, I'm gonna be like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, because people want to know what it's like to live here. So while I have you, I want to add value to you today too. So I'd love your opinion on what we have for price. Second thing is, I can offer you a fee-free refi right now. With COVID, with the world being the way it is, with the economy the way it is, if you would benefit from a fee-free refi, based on the values of this neighborhood, you probably could save not only in your monthly payment, and we could get you to the best rate possible, you could save probably about $6,000. And I've got a chart, you guys, so I'll send that to you so you can see based on price point how much they'd save. So if you ever would benefit from that, I'd love to share that. In fact, I'm going to send you my app right now so that you have access to that. And what I'd say, Phil, if it's not you, say you just refied, or that you're not interested, think of someone in your family that may, because this is a part of my stimulus package for everyone that I get to know. I can share this with anyone I know. So I'd love to share it with you. So I could talk about Keller Mortgage with the guy that doesn't want the house but is nosy, just like that, right? And what the benefit is to him. And I could give me a reason to share his app or whatever, or hand out a flyer. You can just hand it out if you want. Now, the cool thing is, if you share it electronically, if you share this electronically, meaning through your app or through the website versus a piece of paper. I'm just going to go back to Keller Mortgage for a second. So say your computer's up and you go to refer a client. Right here, I could send a text to Phil's phone number, and I can ask him for his number, and immediately he has a text from me giving him access. Do you guys see that? So I'll just put my number in, and you hit send. Oh. And you've just basically secured that person as your KW mortgage person. So if Phil got that link in a text from me, if he ever clicks on it and actually looks into it, Keller Mortgage is going to call me and say, hey, there's a guy named Phil that's refinancing with us that came from your app. Isn't that cool? Questions on that? So I could come up with 100 value adds. That's just one of them, is Keller Mortgage or your stimulus plan. Now let's just pretend you're a buyer. Hey, I'm Jessica. You are?
I'm Phil.
So Phil, so are you one of these great neighbors I've been meeting, or are you out looking for homes today?
No, we're out looking at homes today.
Okay, so here's the cool thing. If this isn't the one for you, I've got several others. So while I have you, paint me a picture of your dream home. What are you guys looking for?
Yeah, we're looking for 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool.
Cool. So have you seen anything you want to write an offer on, or what's stopping you?
Not yet. We're just getting started. Figure we'll start looking at some open houses.
Fantastic. Great way to start. Well, while you're out looking at the house, I'm going to get something ready for you. So before you leave, pop by and see me. I'll have a little special something for you.
Sounds good.
Now, I'm going to let Phil go on his way. He's going to go tour this vacant open house. And while he's doing that, I'm going to build him a neighborhood nurture. I'm going to show it to him and say, okay, what's your contact information, Phil, so I can get this over to you. So I may wanted to know what neighborhoods as well. That was the only thing I didn't remember to ask you. Wouldn't that be cool? When you walk out of the house, I got this ready. I'm like, so what do you think? So you definitely want your laptop. You definitely want a hotspot, you know, in case you're at a vacant open house with no, you know, rarely can we get on their Wi-Fi anyway. Most people don't want to share their Wi-Fi, which is understandable. And I'm going to say, and Phil, not only did I give you this text, you can track the market. I have a mortgage, and based off your price point, you said was $250. That means I can save about $5,000 in closing costs. So it's definitely something for you to look into. I'd love to connect you with this stimulus package. So do you see how I can pivot there too?
And that mortgage one sells itself, right? You know, the no fees, $1,000 back towards closing. That's an easy one. You're giving them money.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to pretend you're grumpy. Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi.
I'm Jessica Fox of Keller Williams. Your name?
Oh, I'm Grumpy.
Oh, Grumpy. Hey, Grumpy. So are you one of the awesome neighbors, or are you out looking at homes today?
Yeah, we're just taking a look.
Okay, sounds great. Well, I'll give you your space and time. However, I've got a few things that are pretty awesome to follow up with you, and I'd love a little feedback. So when you're done touring the home, would you give me a few minutes of your time for some feedback?
Sure.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, let them do their thing. Come back, and then I can say, one of the things I can offer is a fee-free refi for anyone that may benefit. And let's just be honest, with COVID and the economy and just all the things going on in the world, who wouldn't benefit from skipping a payment and getting a better rate? Okay, and you're going to do whatever. And say, hey, Grumpy, while I got you, what are the 2 or 3 neighborhoods in the area that you're most curious about? And I would show them a neighborhood nurture and say, would you like this information? And they might say no. I'll be like, okay, thank you, and give them my card and move on. You'll get a couple grumpies, but you don't get as many of these. You really don't.
Yeah.
But that's just using one tool. That's just using the Keller Mortgage chat. What other things could you share? The neighborhood nurture is a big one. They love that one. So have one up. Have one up for the house you're doing. So I'm just going to do that live for you guys so you can imagine what that looks like. So I'm going to just go on. I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to bring up our command. And I have myself typically set up. I'm not in the right one, so we'll just pick anybody, but have yourself set up. And what you want to do is say I'm having the open house in the neighborhood I clicked on. If you needed to add a specific neighborhood, so you could just type it in here, find a map, or you could type in an address. So let's just say we're doing an open house at my house. So I'm going to have this open, maybe the 2 neighborhoods next to mine, because they kind of all are treated as one. And I'm going to hit preview. And now I have this nurture open. So say I'm doing an open house in Gulf Harbors. I can show what's going on and have this up, including statistics. So let's just say I've got Grumpy coming by, or the buyer or the seller or whatever. I would have this open, and I'd say, this is what's going on in this market, but look at the neighborhood next to it. There are all these little micro markets. So while I have you, what are like the 3 markets you like to track anywhere in America? And you could literally build them their very own nurture on the spot. But you need to show it. Don't talk about it. Just have it up on your computer and say, you know, this is like Zestimates on steroids, because not only can you see what the trends of the neighborhood are. Wow, you know what? This is crazy, you guys. Gulf Harbors typically has like 75 homes on the market at any given time. We only have 32 right now. Woo, that's amazing. But you can see like statistics, trends, school information, lifestyle information, the most recent information that's worthwhile talking. And then you can simply switch gears and go you know, to another, you know, the neighborhood next door and talk about how that's different. This one has only 6 pendings. When you can show like this, they're more interested. So I would definitely have my computer up. I would definitely have a nurture for the neighborhood that you're in up. And I would be locked and loaded with some of these flyers. And I'd go to the office supply store and buy a couple of these and just have them staged around the house. And I literally could give you about 1,000 other value adds that you could have. But think about what you're most comfortable talking about. And if all you want to do is show that neighborhood snap, that's great. That's a great one. If you're not comfortable talking about Keller mortgages, that's okay. But just know there's so many tools in your Keller Williams toolbox that the list of what you could share is endless. You know what I mean? There's like, we're drowning in tools. But those are 2 big ones right now. Let's just be honest. People want to save money right now more than anything. So kind of to reiterate, if we go back, you obviously are using this to connect with people, so you need to get traffic. So if you really want open houses to work for you, I think you need to start doing them physically again, because even if you do them really, really well digitally, we're not seeing like a flood of people coming at you. Now, the only caveat to that is a Facebook ad. So you can do a Facebook ad promoting your open house. You're going to want to run it on Thursday because it takes a day to be posted. I'm assuming you're doing a weekend open house. Because if you build it Thursday, it won't show until Friday. And you can just do like a 3-day ad, assuming you're doing like a Sunday open house. And you can promote the open house. Now, the thing is, what I've learned is don't make a whole video about you walking the open house. I found that those videos don't get a lot of clicks. They want to see the house. They don't want you pitching them. So we tried this. We experimented. I think I can show you Mark's. We were kind of disappointed because we're getting on average, you know, pretty much $1 a lead. When we did his video with him talking and the video starts like him in front of the camera, we only got 9 clicks. So I would challenge you not to be the show pony in the video, be it about the house, and just take your phone and show the house, not you walking the house, and you'll get a lot more clicks. And this does not have to be a fancy, professionally made virtual. This can be you. Okay, and you don't want to sell the house on this video because you want to keep it short. You're just trying to get clicks. So you're just going to talk about 2 or 3 features about this house that's going to make someone want to pop by. In the ad itself, again, we're going to remind people that you're following CDC guidelines so they feel comfortable coming. You're going to set expectations so they know, like, am I supposed to bring a mask? Am I, you know, what do I wear? You know, how is this going to go? So you want to explain that in the bottom of your ad to eliminate any worry or anxiety. And then you want the obvious details of the property there. Do not include price unless you've had a price reduction or something that's interesting about price. Because again, you're trying to get as many clicks as possible. So if you share all the information in the ad, there's no reason to click. So you could say things about price like this home is going to fly off the market because of its pricing, or this home was repriced competitively, because that's going to get a click. If I say this house is $249,000, they don't need a click, especially if they're not in a $249,000 budget. So your goal is to get the click. So just kind of be vague, but real clear on when the open house and what the expectations are. You obviously have to include the address in this ad, and typically in all Facebook ads, you don't include the address. So this would be the only ad that you actually include the address. Does that make sense? Any questions on the Facebook ad itself? Now, before the open house, so I'm just going to go back to the ad that Mark and I ran so you can see the results. Let me quick log into his. Give me 1 sec here. Okay, so we're just going to go right to his campaigns, make sure I'm sharing this properly. Great. Okay, so you should see his campaigns. I'm going to go under paid ads, and you'll see this is the one we did. So see, and this is really hard to see probably. I'm going to zoom up my screen a little. I was giving Mark crap about this because he is not apparently as clickable as the house. Because here's his ad, and you can see him right there standing in front. We get 29 clicks, but only 4 leads. And if you look at other ones, we do much better typically. So we were both like, huh, interesting. So just know, same ad, you can see we just did 19 leads versus 4 leads. So definitely a difference, right? But we did the video, and typically video does better than a static image. So lesson learned there is don't make it look like somebody's going to start talking to them. They want to see the property. So it's got to be clickable. Now, the cool thing is we had 19 leads come through from the old ad. So who are we going to call and invite personally to the open house? All these people, obviously, right? They found the ad to be clickable. So what you want to do is you want to call them, and this is what the script would sound like. So Phil, will you role play with me again? Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, is this Phil?
Yes, hi. Who is this?
Hey, this is Jessica Fox with Keller Williams Realty. Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but a couple days ago, you were on Facebook and you clicked on my listing ad.
Oh, yeah. I think I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to thank you because I spent a lot of money promoting and promoting my open houses and giving exposure, and I just wanted to ask you, what made that property clickable? Do you remember?
Yeah, it seemed like a really pretty home. So I was looking at the pretty pictures.
Cool. Well, I'll share that with my seller, and I know they'll appreciate that. And I just wanted to, while I have you, invite you to the open house. I don't know if you're really in the market to look or not, or if you're just curious, but I wanted to invite you either way.
Okay, yeah, we're at the early stages, but yeah, open house would be great.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to text you the address, and I'll remind you right before the event. It's Sunday 1 to 3. I'd love you to stop by, and if it's not good Sunday for whatever reason, I'll make time to show the property for you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Have a great day. Now, break script. Couple things in there. I reminded him that he clicked on my Facebook ad. That's important because people get creeped out like, how do you have my information? How did you get my phone number? How do you know this, right? And then if you pivot to servicing the property, people let their guard down. And you say something like, I do my best to help my sellers get exposure for their listing. And one of the ways I do that now is through these Facebook ads, and I really make a big investment. So I really appreciate your feedback. Do you remember what made that property clickable or thumb stopping? And do you have any interest in it? And if not, that's fine too. But do you have any interest in it? So again, that's a real simple script of how you call and invite them. And then what are you going to do before the event? You're going to text everybody. And if they didn't show up and they said they were going to, you might call them during the open house or send them a video of the open house just to, again, get an opportunity to win them over. So if you're only going to do digital, it's a lot of work. I'm just going to say, I mean, you can do it. And if you don't feel comfortable doing open houses physically, then by all means do it digitally. But just know you just don't get as much belly-to-belly time where you actually can really build relationships and connect. So it's possible, but you see that if you're not doing the Facebook ads with it, it's probably going to be really challenging. So keep that in mind. Now, say I borrowed Phil's listing to do an open house this weekend, it's not mine. And I didn't already run a Facebook ad on it because it's his listing and I'm just using it for an open house. I might call everybody else that I did a Facebook ad with that showed some interest and say, hey, I don't know if you'd have interest in this house. However, pop on by. I'd love to see you. Now, I'm going to show you how this worked. So Mark actually did this, and we sent text messages. I made it too big. Let me make this a little smaller. Right beforehand. And we didn't get a huge response right away, but he had a couple people get way more engaged. So, he sent this on the 31st. Hi, Alan. If you're free today, stop by my open house at 4413 Reeves Road, Newport Richey, Florida, and with his name. That was it. I think it was 30 people total that we sent that text to. And they cost about $0.01 a text if you go through Twilio, and you can send the text right there. So let me show you that. So I'm going to send this guy a text. All you do is you go right here and you hit text, and there you go. You can text. You could even do a link, a hyperlink, and you can even import a picture. So say this is a picture of the house. You could send this text to even refresh their memory. Pretty cool, huh? And it's going to show up in their thread so you can remember who you did and did not communicate with. So the neat thing is, by sending these things out, you can also look at last visited, and these are the people that actually have been interacting with what Mark's been sending them. And again, here's what she's, she was just on. It says, and this is him sending an invite again to that open house. Kathy, if you're free, I'm hosting open house. There you have it. So I know that's a lot of information I just threw at you. And I've got lots of resources that I'm going to put this video plus all those resources that I showed early on, including that Papazan step-by-step most perfect open house in the universe plan. And I hope what you don't get stuck on is the best way you could do it. Just start doing it and you'll get better and better and better. And if you need help or you're not feeling confident about doing it, ask for help. Don't be shy. Worst thing you could do is be shy or not do something because you're not sure of it. We're here to help you. And this is a new way. But I feel like this is the way. It's not going to go back. Nothing's going to go back to 100% physical. That's been said over and over by pretty much the big thinkers in real estate. A lot of people prefer this. And I would just get uncomfortable and just try it and kind of face plant a little and get better and better, or go to others. If you're not really ready to dive in, you're like, ooh, I don't know. Go attend others and write down what you liked and what you didn't like. Kind of like what Barb did. And I kind of opened with this. Barb shared on Morning Mojo that she went to one where no one was following anything and they're just having a free-for-all, and it was like an old school open house that we did pre-COVID, and she actually physically felt uncomfortable. When you go to other people's open houses, you're going to pick up things you like and things you don't like. That's a great way to learn and get more comfortable with what you're going to do. So again, open houses are back. How you do them is up to you. But the point is, do them. Because the good news, and I'll end with this, unless there's any questions that you guys want me to answer. The really good news is that we're one of those 10 markets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're the 5th fastest recovering market in America. Metro area. That's pretty awesome. That's really awesome, in fact, compared to most markets. And the truth is, we need to communicate that, because the news is going to say New York City is down what? 76%. They're going to lead with what's really bad, right? And on average, America is down 40% for new listing inventory. And with Tampa, we're rebounding so fast that we're one of 3 markets that our demand is outpacing our inventory. So we're the unique unicorn in the market, which is really good news for us, is it not? Yay, things are coming back way fast. However, if you let your database listen to the news and let that dictate their real estate decisions, they're going to hear gloom and doom. So be verbose about this, scream from the rooftops, share this, and nothing speaks louder than your actions. So if you're showing that you're doing open houses and you're showing things happening, even if you're showing what's happening for someone else in the office because you're maybe not feeling it yet yourself, those are all good things to do. And people will respond to you in accordance. So keep that in mind. So are there any questions that I didn't answer, or any challenges that you're facing that you'd like me to address? Is there anything that I can help anyone with? Feel free to unmute or chat. I'm just going to quick look and make sure I covered everything in the chat. Now, Kristen Anderson asked a really good question. Can I share the COVID disclosure that they used? Yes, you can have them sign it as a sign-in. A lot of agents are doing that as saying, I'm not liable for you, and they're actually using it as kind of their sign-in sheet now.
And so, Jessica, is that just the guidelines that we've received, and we would just have that for them, or would we create something new?
No, in version now, there's actually a COVID form.
Okay, okay, I didn't realize that. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
in version now, it's very official, and it's basically getting you off the hook. So if they said they got COVID from your open house, you're not liable. So you want that signed.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely, but it's a great way to get their contact info too. So it's like the open house sign-in sheet on steroids. David, did you have a question?
No, just like you said, a lot to take in, just trying to figure out what to pull out of it and to use the most.
So even if all you did was just do the laziest open house in the universe and throw a sign out and do one and just follow the CDC guidelines, you're good to go, my friend. And you can get better and better. Or reach out to the office and ask for someone that's doing one and shadow them and be their buddy for the day to build your confidence up.
I've tried to do that with Phil, but he's so negative, it makes it difficult.
He's nothing but trouble. You need a different buddy.
I agree. Go find a new friend.
That's the cool thing about all of us. We all love each other and care for each other and help each other. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I love it when people shadow me. I actually had a team leader come and shadow me for a couple hours today because you get your A game on. You know, you're not. I actually put a dress on today. I have pants on. It's a good news day.
To the point, sorry. To the point of signing in, if I remember correctly, the form on in.loop, it doesn't actually have email or phone number on the form.
I think everyone's just asking him to put that at the bottom.
Okay, I was thinking T said maybe made a different form, or I heard something like that.
No.
Okay.
So I wish it had email and phone just on there. It'd be more apt. Well, here's the thing. I would encourage you, don't try to be perfect. I love that the Papazans shared all this, but they like put a whole nother level of pressure on like the most perfect open house, right? Rip off what you can and put it together in chunks. And literally, if all you do is throw a sign out and hope for the best, you're doing better than not. So don't overthink it. You'll get better every time. And if you need more confidence, have a buddy. I think it's smart to do anyway. Or take this weekend and go to open houses and write your little notes like, well, that was a bad idea, or I can't believe this. Now, I'm going to tell you that when I used to just teach open houses on steroids, I used to share a story that I used to go to open houses to meet agents to see who I'd want to invite to be part of our office. And it happens all the time where you walk in and they're like laying on the couch with their shoes off and watching football. Now, there's no football on these days. However, there's a lot of things that you can learn by going to open houses of what you don't want to do. And that sometimes gives you as much confidence as, getting a sheet with all these ideas on it. So just keep that in mind. And, the more we share, the more we learn. And so just remember, our Facebook page is a great way to express ideas. Take pictures if you see something really clever so that we can R&D it for ourselves. And, this is something new for all of us. So don't feel like you need to know everything. We're all at zero together. We're all learning the new future together. And so it's kind of levels the playing field. If you're very experienced agent or brand new to the industry, it really does level the playing field. So don't overthink it, just go do it. And I'd love to hear how your results go. And if you run into any challenges, reach out and we can help you through it. Okay, well, you guys, I went a few minutes over. I appreciate your time. I will download this, email it out with all the supporting resources I had today, and I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys found some value in today, and have a great one.
Great, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.